Sego, I really like the idea of using a video for our posts, so I'm going to try that for this first reading response for the articles by Dr. Marie Baptiste and John Malloy. I'm going to talk first about what is Indigenous knowledge and then move into talking about residential schools. So here goes. I had to really stop and think about what is Indigenous knowledge. I even asked myself, do I have Indigenous knowledge because I'm Indigenous and I'm a teacher at that? I even Googled it. I Googled what is Indigenous knowledge. So here's my thoughts on what it is. It is a way of thinking, being, behaving, learning, and understanding. Part of this knowledge is accepting that it's okay to see things from a different lens. It's trying really hard to remember the stories my Mohawk teacher taught me in school. Stories about how the birds got their song, how the bear got a short tail, how the robin got a red breast, all of those. It's talking about the creation story and being proud of it. I think Dr. Batiste said it best in her article when she said, knowledge is not a commodity that can be possessed or controlled by educational institutions, but a living process to be absorbed and understood. It's my belief that the knowledge that sustains a culture is in its language. So going back to my original question, do I have Indigenous knowledge? Yes, I believe I do. This knowledge was passed down to me from my teachers in school and continues to be passed down to me by my co-workers and elders that exist in my community today. I'll continue to listen and learn and share what I know. All right, on to residential schools. So, residential schools forced Indigenous people all across Turtle Island to believe their ways of knowing, thinking, speaking, and simply being were wrong. And wrong isn't even a strong enough word. Simply being Indigenous was sinister. When you tell someone enough times that they're no good, eventually they're going to start to believe it. When you beat kids for speaking their native language, eventually they're going to stop speaking it. My grandma attended the Mohawk Institute in Brantford. It's not something she spoke of other than to say that she was beaten when she spoke Mohawk. I don't even want to think about the other injustices that happened to her while she was there. I'm just thankful that she was able to come back and show me some sort of affection. She never ever spoke the words or said, "I love you." She just showed me by allowing me to spend the night at her home, knitting me slippers and telling me carrots were good for me so I should eat them. Colonization continues to affect Indigenous people and their ways of teaching and learning by trying to assimilate us. The word may sound harsh, but it's still occurring today. My school is a kindergarten through grade 8 school. Half of the students are taught in English, while the other half are taught in Gayokono, which is the Cayuga language. As teachers, we have the opportunity to use our Indigenous knowledge to share with our students. But in my opinion, we don't use it as effectively as we should or could. As teachers, we feel the pressure to teach the Ontario curriculum because this is what we're expected to report on. That being said, I have never been given any flack by my principal for straying away from the Ontario curriculum to include teachings from my culture. She encourages us to go outside, to tap trees, to plant a garden, make a snow snake track, pick strawberries, all of that. But I think we need to do more things outside of the classroom because I believe that the learning is so much more rich outside of the classroom. As people, we have to get over the fact that teaching our children their native language and ultimately their culture is a bad thing. It won't put them behind in school. This is a debate my husband and I are currently having concerning our son. I want him to attend immersion school, but my husband is worried that going this route will put him behind in school and hinder his chances at going to university and ultimately lead to getting him a good job. Sure, he'll learn his language, but what kind of job can he get with learning his language? This is the result of colonization, and we need to get over this kind of thinking. Justice Sinclair talked about the intergenerational damage that is occurring today as a result of residential schools. He mentioned that because these schools were open for as long as they were, which was about 7 generations, it's the reason why my people are still suffering today. Once students returned home, they had all these emotions and trauma in their heads, and no one could help them heal or deal with it because everyone they knew had attended residential schools as well. He also said education is what got us into this mess, and it's what's going to get us out. People need to be educated and know the truth about the history of Indigenous people all across Turtle Island. Like most of you, I wonder, how could anyone think that taking a child from their family and putting them in a foreign world, which was the residential school, be of any benefit to them? Can you imagine that happening this day and age? It breaks my heart to know that some children held resentment for their parents because their parents didn't come and get them and take them home away from the prison that was their school. The government was almost successful in killing the Indian, but we are a resilient people. We're still here, and we're making a comeback. Talking about residential schools is always difficult for me, and I apologize for the length of this post and stumbling on my words, but I'm thankful for people like you who take the time to hear what I have to say. It makes me hopeful. Nyawa.